Hello and welcome to my crochet how for beginners how to video. This one is going to be all about crochet hooks. As you can see, I have a bunch of crochet hooks lined up and you can tell they're very different. Some are the same because I believe in having lots because I lose them. So let's talk about some of them. The crochet hook is essential tool for crocheting. You have to have a hook to crochet unless you're doing finger crocheting or arm crocheting, um, which is something entirely different. But your crochet hook will dictate your size of your crochet work and along with your yarn and your tension. Okay, and that's another topic that'll probably come up in future videos. These crochet hooks over here are bamboo. I'm not too particularly fond of them because most yarns, if you have a very, I guess like how silk is, it likes to grab onto stuff, then your bamboo hooks are not so great. If you have a nice acrylic, smooth, not really fuzzy yarn, bamboo's good. It will slide very well on the bamboo. But if you have like a wool yarn with, or like I said, a silk yarn, it's going to grab a hold of just about every little fiber piece and yank it out just about. It's the wood. I think it might be because this is a cheaper set that was given to me with a magazine subscription a couple years ago. So it could be the cheap quality of this bamboo set itself that does that. I don't have experience with a more expensive bamboo set, so it could be also because of the quality of the wood. Let's see. This one is a plastic crochet hook. It's super bendable. I love this crochet hook. I don't know where it came from, unfortunately, except for that it was given to me with a bunch of yarn and other crochet items and stuff from a lady who no longer is with us. Um, Her husband didn't know what to do with their stuff, and some friends, family basically said, "Hey, we know somebody who crochets. Can we give her some?" And I did, and I made them also break it and gave it to them out of some of the yarn. But this was in there. I have another one that's a different size. This is a size G. The other one I think is like a smaller size E, and it's with the current project. So I didn't feel like digging it out. Sometimes I'll keep the hooks with the projects, which is how come I have duplicate size hooks, because, well, I have favorite hooks, which I'll get into here in a little bit when I get to them. But I like to have a lot of those because I can keep the hooks with my projects. That way I know and remember what size hook I used during that project. You can use markers like sort of like stitch markers with little letters on them or numbers of the size hooks and attach it to the project. But I just leave them in there unless it's like a hook that I know I only have one of. And in that case, will put with the project what size hook I used. That way I can be sure to keep my stitches the same tension and same size. This right here is by Boy. It's a hook that has the plastic grip. It's by the Crochet Dude. Or it's their product, which is I love this thing. I decided to get this when I had, because you can see on here, it's a smaller hook size. It's a steel size. It's a steel hook, which is a size 6. It's gonna be different from your aluminum hooks and stuff like that, but these are good for working tiny or small stitches. And when you work smaller stitches, the handles are usually really small and hard to hang on to. So when you're sitting there crocheting and manipulating the yarn, the hook will literally slip out of your hands. It'll hurt your hands for being in that, trying to hold on to something so tiny. So this was an awesome adage to the end of a steel hook, I can tell you that. Now, talking about steel hooks, I don't personally have very many steel hooks. I would love to get more, which I do plan on doing that in the future. But these are the ones I have because they're the ones that were either given to me or I found at resale shops. And you can see they're well loved and they're pretty old. Some of them are boy, one of them's Susan Bates, but they have, they're really good for getting those the little stitches in the thinner yarns and stuff, especially when you're making lace, or you're making amigurumi, tiny little, they're sort of like stuffed animals, basically, little dolls, anything teeny tiny. Steel hooks are my go-to. This hook is one of my go-to favorites as well. It is, I need to get and find more. I'd heard someone mention or read somewhere that this little thing on the end was, is a signature of a vintage item, but I'm not sure. This one's a Susan Bates, size 2 crochet hook. Look, made in the USA. But this little thing is neat, and I wish that somebody would bring back these on today's needles, because this little gadget right here, you can put while you're working, say if you have to get up and go do something. I often get called by my sons to go do stuff, and if you have children, you can just slip that over your working stitch and it holds your place, and you will not, because your crochet hook is in your loop while crocheting, it will not, unravel unless, say, this were to fall out. But that's one good benefit of it. Another one is if you do, I forget how to say it, I think it's Tuscanian or Tuscanian or something, crochet. Of course, you probably want a longer one, but if you were doing a shorter piece, then this is awesome because it keeps your loops on your hook. But I love this thing. When I will try and find yarn to match this size that I can work with, just because I like using that one. It's Susan Bates has got to be my favorite hook brand maker, designer, whatever, because their hooks slide right through the yarn. It doesn't matter what kind of yarn. I have never had a hook from Susan Bates, I'm sure people have, but not me, that doesn't slide. When I first started crocheting, I crocheted with boy because it's a cheaper hook. See, this is boy. It's a cheaper hook. You can usually get pretty cheap set of crochet hooks in different sizes from the boy brand. And you get what you pay for. Is definitely goes down to hooks. It did good when I was learning. It was good. but I'd actually suggest getting a Susan's Bates or trying out Susan's Bates and trying out a boy brand or whatever brand that you find and see which one you work with best. Because I never thought that a hook could influence the way your projects looks, like the craftsmanship of it, until I got my first Susan Bates crochet hook. It drastically increased my crochet productivity, I guess. I crocheted faster with it because it did slide through the yarn in the loops and it was super fast. If you can see on this really big one, which is a Susan Bates size N, this is the biggest hook I have probably. It's just more sleek looking. That when you're hooking your yarn and bringing it through, it just goes through the loop easier without snagging on yarn. I guess it's because of the way the head of the crochet hook is designed. And maybe it could be that, say, this is also a size N in boy. It could be that, see how this one this one's very used. This was probably one of my first ones that I had. Probably part of the original set. Or either I bought this one individually. And let's see. The head wasn't as smooth. It wasn't as smooth. There's a big gap, like right in between here. And if you can see, it's not lined up. I don't know, you really can't tell. I don't know if I have my ruler. Yeah, I do. Okay. This is on straight with my ruler. There's a gap in between this and here where the yarn would go, I guess. But say if I take this one, look, it's flat. I don't know if that's significant, but it seems like a big difference to me. My crochet began to be prettier. My tension was more accurate. My speed was faster when I picked up a Susan Bates hook and started crocheting. Okay, now we'll talk about the different sizes. And I'll stop boasting about Susan Bates hooks, maybe. Let's see. Like I said, this is an N. This is my biggest hook. They go up in bigger sizes, way, way bigger. You see, it says US N 15 / 10.00 millimeters. These are the US size hooks. English hooks, I guess, or British hooks or whatever, are different sizes. They have different measuring systems, but usually there's some similar, but they're off a little bit. It's just a little bit different. But I use US hooks because I live in the US and that's where I can find them. I would have to order from the UK in order to be able to get that size. Nowadays all US patterns go by these measurements. And so if you see in a pattern it says US or UK, then that's what it's referring to, is which size, which which country the size is originated from. So, and the 10 millimeter is another way, because we can have a size, say, let me see, which one's notorious for doing that? Get the G. Let me see if I have any in here. No. Anyway, the size is like G. See how it has 4.0 millimeter in G? It's a USG 6/4 millimeter. And normally you'll just see on a pattern, it'll say use size G, and then it'll say like 4 millimeters, or oops, or it'll say 4.25 millimeters with a G, I believe it is, which is fine. That is, I believe the difference is an older pattern and a newer pattern. I think, or older crochet hooks and newer crochet hooks, if I'm thinking correctly. I haven't really researched that in a big way, why there's different sizes, but I think one is because it's a vintage size versus a modern size. It could also be that they just wanted to mess with us, or it could be because it's made by a different company, or it's a different brand name, and their G is 4.25 millimeters instead of 4 millimeters, which is fine. So pay attention to the millimeters as well as the number or letter of the hook size, because that does fall into play as well. Because I can tell you that a 4.25 and a 4.0 is going to be different sizes. It may not look like much, but when your product item comes out, and if you needed to have, say, a certain size, like if it was a garment or something, then, excuse me, yeah, coffee, coffee burp. This morning had a lot of coffee. This, what was I saying? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, the 4.25 and 4.0 millimeters, pay attention. Okay. Let's see. Also, these are the aluminum hooks. These are all the aluminum hooks. These are the Susan Bates hooks right here. These are the Boy, and these are an off-brand that came from a very, very cheap set that probably was made by Boy, but they didn't want to put their names on it because it was going to say somebody other than Walmart or Hobby Lobby or something like that. Or it could have came from overseas, which it's probably one that they're very similar to Boy, so they're just super, super cheap. So yeah, your tool is like your extended arm, and I recommend, like I said, Susan Bates. If you don't, and there are people out there that do not like Susan Bates, and they do like Boy best. I'm not asking for y'all to start an argument about how much is best or which one is best. It's totally an opinion, because everybody is made differently, and that's fine. That's just the way it should be. You go with what you like. That's why I suggest trying different ones. But if you get, say, if you start out with a Boy because it's cheaper, try later on a Susan Bates and see how you like it. Try the bamboos. They're really good on some yarns. But I will tell you, if it's a natural yarn like a wool or a silk or even bamboo. They have bamboo yarn out there that's totally fabulous. Okay. Don't use bamboo. Use use an aluminum or a plastic or a steel. So use a metal one, in other words. And this thing is awesome. It is way more better. I swear this is probably wherever she got it. It probably came in one of those crochet kits that have put cheap stuff in it. But I guarantee you that is an awesome needle, or not needle. Sorry, hook. All right. Well, if you liked my tutorial, please give it a like. And Taya made. My name is Taya. And please, if you'd like to see more tutorials, there will be a link somewhere, probably at the end of the video, that has a link to my Patreon account. For as little as $1 a month, you can support me in my efforts in trying to make good YouTube tutorial crochet videos. And I believe in talking about all the aspects, not just following a pattern and showing you. So if you'd like to learn more than just following a pattern and showing you how to crochet, then please go to my Patreon account and support me. I'm sorry for all the shaking of my camera right now. I don't have a tripod. I am using one of those clip on cell phone holders that have a clip or a clamp on the bottom, and it's attached to my RV. And I'm sitting in my RV, and so of course, if you've ever been in an RV, they like to shake with the littlest of movements. And it doesn't help that I don't have my leveler. I don't have it the RV leveled at the moment. But okay. Thank you again. Y'all have a happy weekend and a wonderful day.